Good evening and welcome into another edition, the postseason edition of the Idaho 8-Man Prepcast, coming at you live on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, X account, and Instagram account, where we talk Idaho 8-Man football week in, week out, every Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Mountain Time, 6 o'clock Pacific Time here on IdahoSports.com. My name is Brandon Bainey, and we will get to talking about the great game of 8-Man football in just a moment. But first, the Idaho 8-Man Prepcast is brought to you by Ideal, Idaho College Savings Program. And throughout the fall, for the second year in a row, IdahoSports.com partnered up with Ideal to have a giveaway. Yes, the 529 giveaway, thanks to Ideal and IdahoSports.com. We had hundreds and hundreds of students across the state, K through 12, from 2A and 1A schools apply for our giveaway, and one lucky winner was selected to win a $529 contribution to a 529 account from Ideal. This can be used in the future at college for a 4-year college, a 2-year college, trade school. It can be used to buy books. It can be used to pay off student loans. It can even be rolled into an IRA. So a lot of different options, and I am pleased to announce our winner of this year's competition. And joining us now to talk about the win, she is a 5th grade student at the Valley School District in Hazleton, coming to us from the Magic Valley. It's Keston Kelly. Hi, Keston.
Hi.
Hey, congratulations on winning $529. That's incredible. How does it feel?
Good.
So tell me where you were when you heard the news that you had won this contest.
In my car.
You weren't driving, were you?
No.
Okay, so you were in the car, and you're probably with your mom. And what does mom tell you?
Mom tells me that I won like a college thing, saving account thing that will help me through college or something.
Yes, it's going to help you when you decide. Now, this is way down the road, but when you decide what you want to do for college after your senior year, this is going to help $529 towards that 529 account, which is just amazing. Now, did you know that mom had signed you up for this? Because you're not old enough to sign up yourself.
Yes.
You did. Okay. So let's talk about you a little bit. Your mom sent some photos of you competing in different sports. And this, just so everyone knows, you don't have to be an athlete to compete in this. You can be a student at any 1A or 2A school. And so Keston, as a 5th grader, keeps busy with lots of activities. We'll do a little show and tell here, Keston. Let's start with soccer. Now, tell me a little bit about this trophy you've got here from soccer.
We won the tournament in Twin Falls. I play on Rapids, so we won that whole tournament, and we won that big trophy.
And that's a club team that you play for?
Yeah.
Okay. Where's the club team out of?
Twin Falls.
Okay. Awesome. Now, you play soccer, but another fall sport you enjoy is volleyball. We don't have any volleyball pictures to share. Why is that?
Because I broke my finger, so I didn't get to play volleyball, so my mom couldn't get any photos.
Yeah, but maybe next season you'll be back on the volleyball court for sure. Speaking of the court, here you are in basketball. Good form, eyes looking up, not at the ball. Good dribbling right there, Keston.
Thanks.
And what basketball team do you play for? Is it a club team as well?
It's Lady Lights.
Lady Lights. What's that out of?
Jerome.
Okay, out of Jerome. Okay. And then in the spring, softball. Yes. Shohei Ohtani, who? Here you are pitching, here you are scoring, and here you are again with another trophy. Where was this trophy from?
It was from Wood River, and I played with the Meridian team, and we won that tournament too.
So you are winning in all of the sports you're playing and winning in life as well. What position do you play in softball?
First, pitcher, catcher, or outfield.
Okay. Are you left-handed?
No, I'm right-handed.
Okay, those are all the positions that left-handed people have to play. That's why I was asking. I'm left-handed, so I thought I would double check. Okay, so obviously you love sports, but what about school? What is your favorite subject in school?
Math.
Okay, why math?
Because I love like numbers and like it calculates in my head for some reason.
Okay, you're a math whiz. What are you working on in math right now in school?
Plusing fractions and minusing fractions.
Okay, you are very close to catching me in terms of where my skill stops in math. So, congratulations there. Tell me a little bit about your family. You've got an older sister that is a freshman at Valley High School, Kadam. She also applied for this contest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was there some good-natured smack talk going on between big sister and little sister?
Yeah.
What did you tell her?
I told her that I won and she didn't, and she was like, okay.
Yeah, she's got more things to worry about being a high schooler, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, okay, last thing, who's your fifth grade teacher?
Miss Jones.
Okay, give Miss Jones a shout out. Why is she a good teacher?
Because she's funny. She like when you're sad, she helps you like get back up and gets you back into happiness or something.
Yeah, that's good. Now, we were talking beforehand about maybe what you want to do when you are deciding to go to college and start studying. What is your like dream job right now?
To be a veterinarian.
And why a vet?
Because I love animals. I love turtles, cows, just
And
every animal.
you told me where's the ideal place you'd like to be a vet?
Hawaii, because turtles mostly live there.
Yeah, a vet in Hawaii. Yeah, that could be a nice career for sure. So, whatever you decide to do, whether it's a vet or something else, you are going to start with $529 for free in a 529 account. So exciting. Keston, congratulations on winning this year's contest. And I look forward to seeing you continue to play all these great sports. And maybe when you get to high school, I'll be broadcasting some of your games.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, Keston. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So that is, again, a fifth grader from the Valley School District in Hazleton, Keston Kelly, this year's winner of the Ideal 529 College Savings Giveaway Contest. So exciting and so cool. That's going to be the highlight of the show for sure. So let's bring on our panel of experts here now to talk Idaho 8-man football. Coach Lane Kirkland is here from the Panther Den in Cary. What's going on, Coach?
Hey, another great evening. And once again, congratulations to Keston. That's one up on your sister already in life. So keep it going there. You're a natural born winner. And what a great show of intelligence on the show tonight. I think I'm done. I'm signing off.
Right. You know, Mom told me that older sister Kate, I'm a freshman at Valley, has got basketball tryouts and maybe might make the varsity team. So that might be exciting too. So nice. Valley's rocking and rolling for sure. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Okay. Also joining us tonight from the Treasure Valley, the owner proprietor of Idaho 8-man social media, Twitter and Instagram. It is Will Henneke. What's going on, Will?
I was very impressed with her versatility. We got softball in Meridian. We got soccer in Twin Falls and veterinary duties in Hawaii.
Yeah, I think we all would love to have a dream job in Hawaii, right?
Could be worse, right? Could be worse.
That's for sure. Well, let's get into it, guys. This is we do have one comment in the chat here. Brenna in the chat says, Tara Kelly, love it. That's Keston's mom, Tara. I had a chance to speak with her earlier today. And yeah, just a great family down there in the Magic Valley for sure. So 2 years in a row now, we've had really incredible winners, a sophomore in high school from Kamei and now a fifth grader from Valley. So really exciting and really diverse. And the contest, again, was a huge success this year. A lot of successes on the football field this past week. Playoff spots determined. The playoff matchups have been set. We've got a lot to get to, so we will rock and roll. We start, as always, with our game of the week. What was the most exciting game, start to finish? And really, guys, I was so tempted to go with that North Gem Rockland game just for the sheer absurdity of 78-72, the final. But there was a similar back-and-forth game, not as many points, but higher stakes, arguably, when Council and Tri-Valley got together in Council. This was a game on IdahoSports.com, and this one goes the distance. Council pulls it out, 58-50, the final. They win the Long Pin Conference title along the way. Will, you were at this game, observing. What were your big takeaways?
It was almost funny. I was my daughter and I were walking up and down the Tri-Valley sideline at the game, and so the official on that sideline, we had a little bit of a running dialogue. during the game. And you'd have Tri-Valley would very methodically, very efficiently work their way down the field, and then they'd score, and then they'd kick the ball off to Council. And on the first or second play of the drive, Owen Hatfield would go 80 yards the other way, or Jim Tucker would go 75 yards the other way. So I don't know what the final time of possession was, but it had to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 minutes for Tri-Valley and about 8 for Council.
Coach, look at these absurd totals. Jim Tucker, 282 yards, 4 touchdowns on just 12 carries. Owen Hatfield, 187 yards, 3 scores on just 11 carries. It's a shame that somebody had to lose this game.
Yeah, that's for sure. And you always know when you're going to get to those teams are going to get together. It's going to be a good one. And certainly showed it there in the score and with those stats. One thing that showed kind of stuck out to me in those stats, kind of like Will pointed out, Council in these stats runs 34 plays, and Tri-Valley runs 70. And, that's pretty efficient for Council to be able to put those points up on the board that quick. That tells me that they're a big play team. It tells me there's some work going on downfield and that those plays have been worked on all season long. But it also says that Tri-Valley's a fighter, and they're willing to punch it out, and they can hang with the best of them. But, man, what a shootout there, 58-50. Is an incredible score for a conference championship. Probably see those guys maybe down the road again match up. We'll see.
Yeah, there was a play late in this game. Council led 52-50, had the ball right around midfield. The exact yard line escapes me, and it was 4th and like 20. And I'm standing there with my daughter. Like I said, Natalie was with me, and I'm like, they got to punt this. There's minute and a half left. They got to punt this. They can't run the risk. 4th and 20, I would not consider that a high percentage down, right? They can't give the ball to Tri-Valley near midfield with the game on the line like this. But head coach J.C. Tucker left his offense out there. And Owen Hatfield, who took a couple of big hits in this game, don't let the score fool you. These guys were hammering on each other a bit. And they run a deep route over the middle to Bryson Evans. Owen Hatfield could not have thrown a better ball. Jace Wagner couldn't have covered it better. It was a perfect throw, beating perfect coverage. Evans makes the catch. Could have just walked it in, but instead he slid down short of the goal line so they could run a little more time off the clock. But you don't expect to see a play that precise, that perfect, unless you're watching on Sundays. It was something else.
Yeah, and just the intestinal fortitude to go for it on 4th and long too, to pull it off was simply incredible. So a game that neither side will forget, that's for sure. This was a wild back and forth one. And again, we were lucky enough to have the call on IdahoSports.com for sure. What else went on in the long pin in the final week of the regular season? Salmon River, a little postseason tune-up here with Cascade, Coach, and a 71-6 victory for the Savages. Riley Davis, 260 yards, 4 touchdowns on the ground, 14 tackles and a pick on defense. And how about this? 7 of 8 on point after kicks. He took 8 PATs, Coach Kirkland.
Hey, that's efficient right there. That's a score. Hope he gets a couple of helmet stickers for that, maybe even 7 to fill the back row or the front row, which wherever they're putting those. But Coach Manley's got these Savages tuned up. They've had a great season with a 6-3 run, and certainly deserve to have another shot here as they come into the bracket. But it's been a lot of fun to watch them grow. They were young so many years ago, and here they are doing some great things and putting themselves in a position to in this postseason to be able to show that the Savages are looking to be back.
Will, what was more impressive here on the Salmon River side? The 70-yard touchdown run by Malachi Cable, the kick return for a touchdown by Cable, or the pick 6 by Zayden Rambo?
All of the above. And, on top of that, I think something that kind of goes under the radar here, let's just say on Friday when Salmon River's playing in the playoffs, and we'll get to that game in a little bit, it's 34-32, ball's on about the 12, 13-yard line, and now you have a choice, right? We can kick the field goal and win it and feel like we got a shot, or we can try and go for it. And now the other team has to think. They have to prepare. They know that Salmon River has a kid that can make some kicks. I think that is something that might come into play.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. Lots of comments rolling in here. Here's Charlie Shepard, coach. Shepard family tree never punts.
That's for sure. Yeah, 4th and 20, easy.
That's pretty funny. Okay, here is also the Wallace Miners Athletics. We're going to talk about Wallace in a second here. Let's go, Miners. Shout out to Bainey, Will, and Coach Kirkland for putting this on every week and everything you do for 8-man football. And then here is Tara Kelly. This is Keston's mom. Thank you to Ideal and Idaho Sports for this opportunity. We are super thankful to have these programs available for the students in Idaho. Definitely. Really fun way to lead off the show tonight. That's for sure. Okay, guys, we are at the end of the regular season, going into the postseason. This is something we did last year as teams were eliminated from basically done playing their season. We kind of did a final farewell, one last tip of the cap to all of the teams that for tonight did not make the playoffs. And then next week, it'll be all the teams that lost in the first round. And then we'll finally end up with our 2 champions at the end. But here is our first final farewell tonight, Will. It is to the Cascade Ramblers, 1-6 under a first-year coach in Mike LaCroix. But I think the fact that they were able to finish the season was big because we weren't sure they were going to have enough kids at the start of the season to have a team.
Yeah, all new staff, and you've got, Owen Howlett had a really nice year for them on both sides of the football. There's some potential there, and get recruiting kids, get some more of those Ramblers, get some more of those Cascade kids out there on the sidelines, and get ready because the long pin's going to look a little different next year. Opportunity exists. Go get it.
Yeah, Coach, Cascade, you see there. Some younger players, sophomore Chris Hinkle, junior Owen Howlett, and then Finley Wilkins was the senior quarterback this year. And as we show these teams and the final farewell, we will show you the players that were nominated for 3-star awards throughout the season. That's Will's weekly column where he hands out basically the top 3 performances from the weekend. And then there's a ton of honorable mentions. Finley Wilkins, the senior quarterback, got hurt and they had to turn the reins over to freshman Maddox Rowley late in the season. That's always tough for a freshman QB to try and step in on varsity.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot this year and over the years where a freshman steps in and takes over and helps his team out there. And that'll be exciting for Coach LaCroix next year as they return a young squad, have some experience now. And like you said, finishing the season is a great accomplishment for some of these programs that don't have a lot of players on them. So like Will says, go recruit, have some more fun next year and see if you can get a few more wins as that long pin will look a lot different. And that opportunity is going to be wide open. It's going to be pretty cool.
Yep, for sure. Our next final farewell is to a team also from the long pin that did not have a game here in the final week of the season because they had to fold midway through the year, guys. And that's the Horseshoe Bend Mustangs. They finished 2-3 and they had some impressive early season wins. Gage Kennedy and Coda Inez were the 2 3-star nominees throughout the season, but they just ran out of players as we got to the midpoint of the season.
Yeah, just a bodies thing. And, hey, go fill those sidelines up. They got plenty of shoulder pads, plenty of helmets, and plenty of fans to support you there in Horseshoe Bend. And I'll tell you, whether it's the WIC in 2A or whether it's the long pin in 1A, either one of those conferences, it's better when Horseshoe Bend plays. You go back to when my man Casey Grint took him to the state championship game in about 2002, 2003, and they went north to play in the state championship game, and the police officer joked that he was the only one left in town. It would be great to see that kind of energy, that kind of enthusiasm, and that kind of success again. For sure.
Another comment coming in here from the residual from the Cascade Tri-Valley game. Ryan Hatfield, shout out to Cascade for hanging tough and taking some lumps, but not folding on their season. Very proud of them. I guess I got that mixed up. I was thinking Council Tri-Valley, but here's a shout out for Cascade. Yeah, the fact that they were able to finish, definitely something to be proud of there for Cascade. And for Horseshoe Bend, hopefully they were able to finish it off next season. All right, guys, let's move on to the Rocky Mountain Conference over in District 5 and 6. Here was the scenario coming in. Rockland, all they needed to do was beat North Gem. They would be the undefeated conference champions and headed to the postseason. If North Gem defeated Rockland by 20 or more points, North Gem would be the team that's the conference champion. They'd be on the right side of a three-way tiebreaker between Rockland, North Gem, and Chalice. And if North Gem won by less than 20 points, then Chalice would be the team that emerged at the top of the three-way tiebreaker. So Chalice was rooting for North Gem on Friday, but not rooting too hard. Okay, we don't want too big of a win. And so it's crazy to me that, and we'll talk about this, it ends up being the three-way tie for first place in the Rocky Mountain Conference, and only the conference champion gets a spot to state. The other two were not high enough in the Max Preps rankings to get in. And so let's recap what was a wild affair between North Gem and Rockland. You see it there, 78-72. Will, when this score first came across the wire on Friday night, and by the way, the scores from North Gem and Rockland typically are the first ones to come through because neither one have lights, so they're always playing at like 4 o'clock on Friday. When this came through, I was like, that can't be right. I'm waiting until I hear like from a trusted source like a coach. And then Coach Hatch sent in the score, 78-72. What the heck happened in this one?
The way Coach Hatch described it to me is it was a stare down between Xavier Parrish and Zach Perman on the Rockland side, and then Craig Yost and Clay Johnson on the other side. And it was just big play, big play, big play, big play, big play. And it's a congenial rivalry, but make no mistake, North Gem and Rockland are rivals. So it was I want to beat Rockland or I want to beat North Gem first and foremost, and then let's worry about the playoffs. So a lot of intensity, obviously two good football teams, and they just put on one heck of a show for the fans down there.
Yeah, Coach, this is another one where it's a shame that somebody's got to lose this one.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I bet it was fun, though, back and forth. It's always fun when both teams kind of score. You just kind of got to get used to it after the first half and enjoy the moment. That's kind of what Kip Wilson related to me just a little bit from the Rockland side. But 3,222 feet were gained in this matchup, which is 1,074 yards from both sides. Craig Yost goes for 318 yards and breaks his dad's career rushing record at North Gem High School, set back, I believe, in 96 when the North Gem Cowboys took state over Deary back in the day. And North Gem was 9 out of 10 on their conversions. So, man, those added up, and that was pretty intense from both sides for sure.
Zach Perman over 1,000 yards, both rushing and receiving. I don't know how much consideration he's going to get for 1A Player of the Year, given it's a strong field this year. But the young man's just a junior. He's going to be back next year, and he's a dynamic playmaker. Coach, you got to watch him in person when they played Cary earlier this year. Xavier Parrish will be back. Coach Hunter and Rockland, they got some nice pieces coming back. North Gem, also a young team, but they're going to have to retool. Craig Yost is a senior. He'll be gone next year. Yeah, for sure. And one more note, I guess, on Zach is I hope he gets nominated for at least first or second team All-State, because that kid would start on any team in the 8-man realm in the state of Idaho today. Carried his team all season long in a lot of different ways, along with Mr. Parrish. But great contributions by both those two this season, Parrish and Perman, but come up short against the Cowboys. Brandon getting shy on us here? What's going on, Brandon?
My internet disconnected for a second, so I had to hurry up and get reconnected. And sorry about that, guys. Hopefully the stream kept going. Let me know in the comments. Did you lose the stream or did it stay steady the whole time?
That was some of the best work that Coach and I did all year, so it better be there.
It was, yeah.
We'll never know. So, yeah, very, very much a bummer. And so, because of this three-way tiebreaker, guys, we have to do our final farewells to both North Gem and Rockland. To the victor go the spoils. We'll start with North Gem. Boy, 6-3, not enough to get to the playoffs. And, I mean, this triple option offense, Coach, senior quarterback Craig Yost, junior fullback William Wakely, freshman running back Clay Johnson. They're bringing 2/3 of the attack back next year.
Yeah, and one of those guys will probably be the one riding that ball and seeing if he's going to give or take off. But Coach Hatch always gets these guys playing good with the numbers that he has, and they always have a tremendous fight. If there's any ball club with as few players in the state that they have, it's always fun to watch them compete and to go 6-3, another good season for those guys, and great kids coming back for that program.
Yep. And Will, anything on North Gem before we move on?
I'm going to make this statement because it applies to Rockland as well, and then I'm just going to leave it at that. 6-3, they were both good enough to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's tough for sure, and the system used to get teams in the playoffs is not perfect. It's better than what it used to be, but there's still room for improvement, I think, overall. And so here is the other one, and this to me is arguably the bigger travesty than North Gem. Not saying North Gem didn't deserve to be in, but if you could only choose one of the two, even though they lost head to head, I think you would say on the whole, Rockland had the better body of work. 6-3, the Bulldogs finished. Their 3 losses were to Chalice by 8, North Gem by 6, and then they lost to Cary. So, I mean, tough one here as well. Lot of 3 stars throughout the year here, Will. You had the Perman boys, which I believe are distant cousins, Ethan and Zach. You had Xavier Parrish, who got through the entire season healthy after he missed most of last year. Isaac Held, unfortunately, was in and out of the lineup a little bit. And then Donnie Garner, a game he'll never forget. He caught the game-winning touchdown pass.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember who the opponent was.
Just a couple weeks ago. I'm trying to remember who it was, too.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
Yeah, it was just real recent. Shows that we're all getting old. We're all getting senile.
Yeah. But a fun team this year. And, Coach, I know you and Coach Gary Hunter at Rockland have developed a good rapport throughout the season. And kind of bummed that he didn't make the playoffs, but the fact that he's a co-conference champion, I think, is still something they can hang their hat on.
Yeah, and for the struggles that they went through, let's give them the Injury Valor Award this season for fighting.
2 years in a row. It's crazy.
Yeah. Coach Hunter knows how to handle that. Those Rockland Bulldog kids know how to handle it and just take it and go forward. And, Congressional Medal Honor for that whole team is pretty cool.
Yep. So they were down to basically 8
or 9 kids the last couple of weeks. Yep.
Yeah, it was tough for sure. Also in the Rocky Mountain Conference this past Friday, guys, Mackey finished their season on a high note. They beat Water Springs 64-22 the final. That means the Miners finished with a winning record here. Everybody kind of contributed. Royley Jones ran for 4 touchdowns. Graydon Bruley ran for 2 scores. Peyton Tykert gets the start at quarterback in the last game of the year. The freshman, Royley Jones, a sophomore, had been QB in the team throughout the rest of the season. He does pretty well here, Will. Throws for a touchdown, runs for a touchdown. This was a really young Mackey team this year.
Yeah, really young. They have most of those, all those kids that are showing on that graphic right there. All 3 of them will be back next year, and Coach Hewish and the Mackey community should be pretty excited for next year because they do return a lot of those kids, and they did some good things this year. 4-3, you can go ahead and shrug your shoulders, but that was a good team in Mackey, and I don't care what Max Prep says. That was a good conference. They played some tough opponents, and they did well.
And then Water Springs, you see there, Corbin Nelson throws for 352 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ryan Demkowitz, 7 catches, 203 yards and 2 scores. And then Wyatt Irola, 15 tackles and a sack there defensively for the Warriors as well. So it's time for our final farewells. We'll start with the Mackey Miners. They finished 4-3. And look at all the underclassmen here, Coach. Freshman Graydon Bruley, freshman Otto Johnson, freshman Peyton Tykert, sophomore Royley Jones. I mean, with a little off-season work, Mackey, I think, could be a real solid team next year.
Yeah, that's as good as a rack of ribs right there, man. That's going to be exciting for the Miners to put on the field again next season. And those are some tough kids. There's some tradition there. There's some names on there that are going to maybe bring that Miner pride back next season with all those young bucks.
Yeah, a lot of fun for sure. And then our final farewell to the Water Springs Warriors, 1-7 finish this year, led by former Water Springs player Ben Hayes, coming back to coach his alma mater. He was the first player in Water Springs school history to go play college football. That was back in 2016 or 17, I believe. And kind of the opposite here, Will. Their two high-impact playmakers, Corbin Nelson and Ryan Demkowitz, are graduating, although Sean Perry did quarterback the team most of the season as a junior before he suffered a season-ending injury.
And he was having a good year. I mean, it speaks highly that Corbin Nelson was able to come in and keep that offense humming pretty good. And with a receiver like Ryan Demkowitz, it's kind of hard not to. But that's, when you're bringing back an experienced quarterback who can make plays in Sean Perry, that's a good starting point. That's a good springboard for Water Springs next year.
Yep, for sure. So Water Springs, our final farewell there. And then a third final farewell from the Rocky Mountain Conference. This team did not play in Week 10, but the fact that they got through the season, I think, was a huge success. Showban, the Showban Chiefs finished 0-7 in their first year. The last time they played a full varsity schedule was pre-pandemic. So we're talking before 2020. Lawrence Nye, I got to meet him at the Rocky Mountain Rumble in August. Really energetic coach. They're changing the football culture there at Showban, one game at a time. And AJ Graves, sophomore, kind of did everything for Showban this year. Another kind of younger team, and coach, this is what we love to see, programs that are being revived and coming back after being dormant for several years.
Yeah, for sure. And to get 7 games in, those kids still had a good time. And we'll remember that hard work that they did on the field on those game nights and the fun opportunities that their school had to celebrate them. So and don't count them out. I hope they're back next season and continue to build upon what they learned this year. And it'll be a lot of fun to continue to watch those guys.
Yep, for sure. So congratulations there. Okay, next on the rundown, guys, we are going to move to the north, the White Pine League, where Deary and Genesee met up with the White Pine League championship on the line, and this game did not go the way I expected it to. This was another one that was on IdahoSports.com last Friday night, and a 52-32 victory for Deary, coach. All right, the Mustangs opening some eyes, beating Genesee by 20. I think Hayden Eulencott, our broadcaster who was on the call, said Genesee was shell-shocked by how this game started and ended.
Yeah, Coach Olson had something up his sleeve, you guys, to pull out 52 points. But it looks like an upset over the Bulldogs. I was going to pick those guys. But Deary Mustangs have some pride from the past that they've continued to revive here, and some great players in Jared Keene and Cooper Nauman and Mr. Nolan Hubbard, and put some points on the board and had some pretty good defense to hold off those Bulldogs that have been kind of rolling this year with a 7-0 start. So conference champions, right?
Yes, conference champs, a perfect 3-0, and they get a first round bye into the postseason as well. So congratulations to Deary. For Genesee, just started slow, couldn't quite get over the comeback mountain. So for the Bulldogs, one blemish on the season, but they're still the number 3 seed overall, according to Max Preps, and they'll take solace in that, provided they can get past their first-round playoff matchup. And then at the other end, Will, this kind of turned out to be a de facto play-in game between Timberline and Lewis County, also from the White Pine. Timberline gets the one-score win, 42-34 over the Eagles. And so you see it there, big plays all over the place. Aries Mabberly, a 60-yard punt return for a touchdown. Caleb Marshall, a 60-yard kick return for a touchdown. Leighton Binder had a 52-yard interception return for a touchdown. So Timberline went out and earned it. But I'm sure Lewis County coach Monty Madrell is lamenting, if we had just been a little tighter on ball control and special teams, maybe we're the team that comes away with the win.
Yeah, and they had a lead in the fourth quarter, and you give a lot of credit to Timberline for going out and making some plays there to take that game and get themselves in position to be selected for the playoffs. But Aries Mabberly had a nice year for Timberline. I mean, they had a pretty nice year in general. Don't look too much at the record. I mean, obviously you have to, but the format that's in place deemed them, hey, this is a playoff team, so now they're going to get a chance to strap it up one more time this weekend, or at least one more time. Let me rephrase. They're going to get a chance to get after it again, and I'm sure that Lewis County, it's a young team. I'm pretty sure every one of the 4 names on your screen right there will be back next year. I think they only had 1 or 2 seniors So maybe that leaves a little bit of a bitter taste in their mouth coming out for next year. And hey, we're going to take that 3-5, we're going to switch it to 5-3, and we're going to be the team playing in November.
And that's the thing with Lewis County is it's just the depth that they can get enough kids to really build some success as a program. Athlete for athlete, they've got really good ones. But you mentioned it, Will. It is time for our final farewell to the Lewis County Eagles, a 3-5 record this season. Monty Madrell just wrapped up his 10th season, and here you mentioned it, all 4 guys underclassmen, junior Jace Krantz and junior Jaden Williams, sophomore Slater Couther, and freshman Jefferson Soderling, another team certainly to keep an eye on in 2026. Here's Lee J. Cook in the chat, our good friend from Cary, Coach. Blue Jays are winning 3-1 if anyone is interested. No Red Sox, but better than the Dodgers.
As a Mariner fan, I'm going to hard disagree with that.
So you want LA to win?
I want them both to lose, but the rules will not allow for that. So if you're going to make me choose one, maybe the only 2 teams that would make me choose the Dodgers would be the Yankees and whoever eliminated the Seattle Mariners, which is Toronto. So congratulations, 32 teams, only 2 of them finished beneath the Dodgers in the Will Power poll, and one of them happens to be playing the Dodgers.
Okay, well, Coach, we'll see if we can improve Will's mood here by talking about the North Star League and the high-octane offense that was on display this past Friday night. Let's start with Coeur de Christ. They finish it off officially, a 62-8 win over the Clark Fork Wampus Cats. That graphic obviously not correct. Those are the Lakeside and Wallace logos, but the score is correct, 62-8. This was my first time doing all these graphics.
Okay,
you can tell.
My mood is better. Thank you, Brandon.
As a former, Will is cringing at this graphic I made here. That's for sure.
I'm dying a little bit. I'm dying.
Yeah. How about the night Beckett Beyer had for Coeur de Christ? 2 receiving touchdowns, a 65-yard kick return for a touchdown, and a 65-yard interception return for a touchdown. And even Coach Kirkland, Noah Fisher, who's kind of like a sophomore offensive and defensive lineman, he gets a 55-yard kick return for a touchdown as well. Must have been a squib kick.
Yeah, there's a pair of snake eyes with a little shot of venom. All these special teams rolling last Friday night. Those things add up, and those things are kickstarters for teams and lots of fun to be able to see that open field and get across that goal line. It's always fun to see that skill set between these different teams and these players that can showcase that in the open field and really crank it up and make some moves to get across the goal line. Coeur de Christ, 62 points. Grant Clemens is rolling. Kellen Clemens is rolling and looking for some good matchups, I believe, next weekend.
Yeah, Grant Clemens. So they get the bye, Coeur de Christ, as the conference champions. Grant Clemens, 4 passing touchdowns, 2 to Beckett Beyer, 1 to Eli Zember, 1 to Anders Sundholm, and then Charles Genet and Camden Manuel, each with a rushing touchdown. So, the one name we didn't mention, John Danke. Well, it was probably nice to just kind of rest him here in this game.
Yeah, John Danke and Greg Hayes. Those are 2 names it feels like when you're looking at Coeur de Christ's stat sheet, there are 2 guys that are filling it up every week. And this particular week, they were able to spread it around a little bit and get some production from some other players.
For sure. Well, let's give our final farewell here, Will, to the Wampus Cats of Clark Fork High. They finished 2-6. One of those was a forfeit victory by Choban. Patrick Young in his 3rd season, I think, is still doing really nice things with his program, injecting some enthusiasm into the program for sure. They're going to have a lot of pieces to build around that are coming back. Mateo Cruz, the soon-to-be senior quarterback and defensive end, and Jason Mayorga is a guy that came in as a sophomore this year, fullback, linebacker, and Coach Young told me he's already like the strongest guy on the team as a sophomore. That just shows you how much work he's been putting in.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun for those young kids to come back again, and 2 wins is a good start, and it's good to see Clark Fork continuing to field teams. It's been a while since they were in the state championship game. I believe it was 01 or 02 they were there, but there's some pride left over, and Coach Young will, I think, build on that, especially off this last season.
One of the few 8-man communities in Idaho to have an NFLer from there.
Oh, yeah.
There's your trivia question. Do either of you know it?
Yeah. because he came back and helped as an assistant coach last year, but I cannot for the life of me remember the name. Will.
I can't.
Ron
either.
Heller.
Yep. Thank you, Ron Heller. Yep. Yes. So friendly reminder as well, guys. Next year, it's just going to be Clark Fork and Court of Christ. That's it. Wallace and Lakeside moving on up to 2A football, and they both have already said we're not interested in joining the White Pine League. So that'll be interesting. Two separate two-team conferences.
I wouldn't want to join the White Pine League either. You know who else is going to be in the White Pine League next year?
Well, not Kendrick, but
in the 1A.
In the 1A. Sorry, I was talking about Lakeside and Wallace have been invited into the 2A 2A White Pine League. Yep. I don't know about the 1A. I haven't heard yet anything on that. So we have plenty of time, I guess. Okay. Speaking of Lakeside, hey, there's the correct logos. Will Lakeside and Wallace.
And 1 out of 2 is not bad as long as you're not a heart surgeon.
That's right. 80-0 Wallace. Coach, I think Wallace was pretty motivated after falling to Court of Christ.
Likely. 8 touchdown passes. That's a great stat. And put up 80 points. I think they had a little vengeance coming up after losing there, and got the feel back now for what's to come.
Will, you said this week with the 3-star awards, this was the hardest week for you to hand out. You said there was like 6 or 7 guys.
Oh, yeah.
Just to illustrate, Cooper Miller was an honorable mention after 10 total touchdowns, 8 through the air and 2 on the ground.
Yeah, and Grant Clemens too. I mean, those two kids, they're both sophomores, and they can be squaring off in one capacity or another, whether it's in a non-conference game or whatever, for a couple more years.
Yeah, both play basketball as well and can really fill it up on the hoops court. Also, Hank Larson, 3 catches, 3 touchdowns. Also had a scoop and score, fumble recovery for a touchdown as well. And Reese Williams, 6 tackles, half of them ended in sacks. And Marley Pierce doing his normal thing, 13 tackles, 1.5 sacks there as well. So Wallace rocking and rolling. It is our time for our final farewell, guys, to the Lakeside Knights. They finished the season 1-8. Jerry Louis McGee just wrapped up his 2nd season. You see Tyson Charlie at the top of the list there. He kind of came back for like a 2 or 3 game cameo at the end of the season. Wasn't really with the team at the start of the year. And so it was a lot of younger guys that were having to learn. And I think Coach Kirkland, when we look back on it, if all of the players that played this year come back out for the team next year, this could be seen as a building block moment, because Coach Louis McGee is instilling accountability, discipline, commitment to excellence, and commitment to your teammates in this Lakeside program. It's kind of the pillars that he's trying to build up here.
Yeah, those are some good pillars that he's established there, and you can appreciate those things, teaching men, these young men, to be men and learn it from the ground up by example and through hardship, through the game of football and through a lot of fun. So look forward to seeing the continued growth out of the Knights and what they have to bring next season.
For sure. And again, they will be competing at the 2A level along with Wallace. All right, let's wrap up our 1A discussion, guys, with the Sawtooth Conference. I don't have the graphics for these ones, so we're just going to have to talk through it on screen. Hanson, well, I had them, but they're on my other computer, and that's not here. So Hanson beats Castleford 54-0. Grayson Denny runs for a touchdown, throws for a touchdown, 78 yards on the ground, and the score. Dan Gibson threw a touchdown pass, also ran for 101 yards and a score on just 3 carries. And, oh, by the way, had an interception on defense as well. Benny Reichel was kind of the bell cow in this one, 107 yards and 2 touchdowns on just 20 carries. He caught the touchdown pass from Dan Gibson. And then Paul Iman, 2 catches for 35 yards and a score as well. For Castleford, Shea Parrish, young quarterback, ends up throwing for 69 yards. Eric Lemus rushes for 54 yards here. But, Coach, you said it before, Hanson at 7-1, looking very lethal heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I see a new stat there. Dan Gibson carrying the ball. He's a tight end and catches most of those passes on 3rd down. Kind of cranking up a new guy there. He's got some skill. He's pretty shifty and is able to move in the open field really well. So that could help him sometime down the road, and throwing. So maybe a little bag of tricks cranking up with the Huskies there as they head into the postseason. But a great Husky season this year, and a lot of enthusiasm coming from that. If they can handle this stage in this first round, they'll have accomplished a lot of things. But either way, a great accomplishment for those guys, and they'll continue to rise in the future.
No doubt. And so let's give a final farewell here to the Castleford Wolves. They finished the season 2-6. They did have to forfeit a contest or two in the middle of the season, just didn't have enough healthy bodies, but some of those guys came back. They were able to finish off. Brock Campbell in his first season, I thought, did a pretty good job. And again, really solid junior class here, Coach. Eric Lemus, Riggin Keach, and Connor Parrish will all be back. And the younger Parrish, Shea Parrish, he's only a sophomore. So, and these guys have kind of been on your radar. You're coaching middle school football these days at Cary, and you've talked about this group of Castleford guys when they came through middle school, and now they're kind of getting their feet wet at the varsity level also.
Yeah, they've been competitive for a long time now. If they can get a few more kids to come out and help them, and all those guys stay healthy, they've kind of been shorthanded to finish the regular season here this last month. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with here in the Sawtooth Conference.
For sure. In the chat, John Cam Hansen, second playoff appearance in 5 years. The last one was in 2020. Go Huskies. John, correct me if I'm wrong, but those two playoff appearances in the last 5 years are the only two playoff appearances, period.
They're the only two I know of. I can say that. Yeah,
and I did the research going back to like the 70s, and I couldn't find another one. So that's very exciting. I think Brian Hall, who's a broadcaster up in North Idaho with me, he is a proud Hanson High alum back when they played 11-man football. He told me it was the first time that they had finished with this high in the conference standings since like the 70s. I mean, 7-1, pretty impressive.
Good for them. Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
Pretty awesome. So, and for Castleford, nice tip of the cap there as they conclude their season. Also, Shoshone wraps up their season with a victory over Dietrich, 46-28. Hadley Hunt, 31 carries, 207 yards, 3 touchdowns. Also had 13 tackles on defense. Finn Green runs for 156 yards and a touchdown. And then Hiram Cheney chips in 117 and 2 scores as well. And then the defense really came up big. Alex Perez, 11 tackles and a sack. And they had 3 takeaways. Cheney with a fumble recovery, Green with an interception, and Daniel Larios with a fumble recovery as well. Will, unfortunately, Shoshone at 5-4, not good enough to make a repeat trip to the playoffs. They were kind of the Hanson last year, right? Team that hadn't been to the playoffs in a while, kind of came out of nowhere, had a great breakthrough campaign. A bummer that they weren't able to go back-to-back there, but they were very close to making it.
Yeah, they lost a couple of key seniors, Bud Cortez, the quarterback, being one, a couple other kids who were big parts of that team last year. They didn't have them this year. They got a really young team, and you go out there and you go 5-4, and you put yourself in position to fight for a playoff spot down to, literally the final few minutes of the season. I think that's definitely something that you can build on. The coaching staff down there is going to have some pieces to work with, and they got a chance to be a pretty competitive football team next year.
Yep, for sure. In the chat here, John says, correct, 2020 was the end of the 40-year drought for Hanson in terms of winning the conference or getting to the playoffs. So, yeah, that's a long time there for sure. Hey, guys, we've got a Deary player in the chat, Cohen Griffin. Can you go over Deary? We did about 10 minutes ago, but we'll all just kind of reiterate. Really awesome performance by the Mustangs coming out and taking it to Genesee. I don't think Genesee was expecting that. And enjoy the bye, enjoy the first round, and then you won't hopefully see a little graphic like this for some time because that means you've been eliminated. So hopefully we don't put the Deary one up for weeks and weeks down the road. Good luck in the playoffs next week, though, and enjoy that first round bye. But let's give our final farewell here to the Shoshone Indians. They finished 5-4 here, Coach. Mike Nunnally, in a very short amount of time, has, back-to-back winning seasons for Shoshone. When was the last time that happened?
Yeah, it's been a little bit since that occurred. Pretty sure it kind of got those guys going. That's a young crew coming back there once again, and Hadley Hunt being the leader there. And I would have to say that Hadley Hunt has more square feet of bruises on his body this year than maybe any player in 8-man football. He's carried that ball a lot, and they run up the middle. I think it's got to be every play, and it's him carrying the football. the Indians had a good start this season, and going to continue to finish strong. They're moving up next year, I believe, to 2A. So that'll be a whole new different ball game for them.
Yeah, that will be interesting for sure. Will, let's give a final farewell to the Dietrich Blue Devils. They finished 2-6 a year after making it to the state championship game. Just lost a lot of talent to graduation. Chase Norman did what he could. He missed a couple of games in and out of the lineup. Gavin Hoskison, the junior quarterback, a piece you can build around next year. But just overall, a pretty tough season in Dietrich.
It was, and we're not just talking about the 2-6. You know, young man with a severe injury earlier this year. You've had some key members in the community that have passed away in recent months. So it's, you know, there are going to be a lot of people on January 1st, 2026 that are like, screw you, 2025, we're done. Thank God you're gone.
Yeah, seriously. It's been just the last couple of years for Dietrich. They've lost some really iconic coaches in that Dietrich community for sure. Let's continue our final farewells here, Coach. This team played on Thursday night against the West Jefferson JBs and came up a little bit short, but Richfield also turned in a winning record this year, 5-4. Matt Kent in his first season, all-time turnout for Richfield. They went from having a hybrid JV varsity team the last couple of years to now having like over 20 kids come out just for varsity football.
Devin Scott's a junior? I would have thought he'd be like 33 years old by now.
No, he's not senior. He's just junior.
Wow.
Yeah, he's got a great career ahead of him in next season. So, yeah, Coach Kent really rallied a pile of these guys to come out. The red rivalry is rolling down in Richfield, and they have got some exciting times ahead of them with huge numbers, 29 or so on the roster. And I think 5 wins is a lot more than Coach Kent thought they were going to get this season. So there's some big smiles happening right now for the Richfield Tigers, and more seasons ahead to come where I think they're going to probably plop a few more victories down than 5 in a season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then our final farewell of the Sawtooth Conference, Will, and really of 1A football, I guess. The Mushers from Camas County, they finished 0-7 this season. Couple of forfeits in there because they had to fold halfway through the season. Didn't have a coach when 2A started. The assistants kind of took it on. And then Daniel Fontenot came on late as the head coach and did what he could. It was just, in general, Camas County is a smaller school, really hard to get players to come out just because there aren't bodies in the hallways. But you see, it's all young guys, right? Junior Quinn Palin, junior Cadden Hathaway, and freshman Tyler Tews here for the Mushers.
Well, we saw it a couple of years ago when they had that 2 or 3 year run that culminated in an appearance in a state championship game. You got to find that core of kids, and you ride them, because you're right. You know, Camas County, Fairfield, Idaho, it's one of the smallest schools that runs its own program that isn't co-opted in some way in the entire state of Idaho. And so that's the hard part. Sometimes you're going to have years where you just, you know, you work your butts off, and these kids work their butts off, and the staff work their butts off. But some years you just don't quite have the bodies that you need. And you really hope that the kids will stick with it. You hope that the community and the coaches will stick with it because, you know, you get that class every now and then, the Smiths, and just that group that came through a few years ago, the cousins and brothers, that can lift a whole town on its back for a couple of years and make it a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's all it takes, Coach, is one family, right? One large family.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Yep, no doubt. All right, guys. Well, that is enough of catching up on what happened in Week 10 and saying farewell to the teams that have concluded their season. Let's talk the playoffs for a second, guys. Let's take a look at these brackets here and just quickly kind of show what's happening in the first round of the postseason. I think this is going to be a lot of fun here, guys. I always try to throw a curveball at you when we get to the playoffs in terms of making predictions. And the past couple of years, we've made our championship game predictions and who we thought our state champion would be. I thought it might be kind of fun this year to actually go through and all of us fill out the bracket, the entire bracket. Let's go today and try and predict how this whole thing is going to shake out. What do you guys think?
Now, we're doing the whole bracket right now. How am I supposed to do that? We don't know who's playing in the second round.
Well, it'll be based upon who you select as your winners. Adds an element to it.
So they're not reseeding?
They are reseeding, but it'll depend on, like, if you pick Garden Valley, okay, they're obviously going to be the number 8. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Way too much.
On the spot. Mm-hmm.
All right. Fine. Can you at least give me your final 4 here? All right. I'll meet you in the middle. I'll meet you halfway. Give me your, and we should say the first round matchups are Garden Valley at Chalice, Hanson at Tri Valley. Congratulations, Hanson, 7-1. Good luck. You got to go to Tri Valley. Timberline at Genesee, and then we also have Salmon River at Wallace. In terms of broadcasts, guys, we will be broadcasting Hanson at Tri Valley on Saturday, 1:00, and we will also be broadcasting Salmon River at Wallace Friday night at 5:00 Pacific time. So
Carrie Court of Christ is already set?
No. So that is just, I filled out this bracket based upon assuming all the higher seeded teams would win.
Okay.
That could change.
I was going to say that's a brutal draw for Court of Christ to get Carrie right out of the chutes, and vice versa. That's a tough. If that's what happens, that would be a hell of a game.
Right. We'll have to see. It just depends on who wins over here, because as you said, Will, it does get reseeded thanks to the Max Preps rankings. Council is the number 1 overall seed. I guess I should probably just remove these other teams because we don't know exactly where they're going to finish. Carrie was number 5 in the Max Preps rankings, the final rankings that were released. So something to keep in mind there. Okay, just give me your final 4 here, Will.
The 4 teams that I would expect, I think Council and Carrie are probably my 1 and 2 at this point. Tri Valley is probably my 3. And then when we get into the 4, because I realistically, I think my 1A champion is one of those 3. There are other teams that could certainly punch their way into it. I think Genesee could. I think Court of Christ or Wallace could. God, man, I will go with, so I've got District 3, District 4, District 3. I will go with, hey, give me Court of Christ as my 4th team. I'll go with the second-year program.
Okay. Now let's do this. Because you're right. So much of how this bracket is going to look depends on who's going to win or not. That's your homework, though. Okay. Next week when the bracket is set.
So I'm the only one that has to go on the record here?
That was
good, guys.
Now my mood's back down again. You're killing me.
That was brutal trying to watch you calculate through that.
I'll go.
Okay. And
my number 4 would be Salmon River.
Okay.
I like those top 3 right there, but my number 4 is Salmon River. Those guys are fighting hard, doing some great things this year, and they're rolling with Riley Davis.
Okay, Salmon River, Tri Valley.
I'll go with you, Will. I'll help you out, buddy.
Carrie, Council. Okay, I will for fun. This is just a mulligan. We'll come back next week when the actual brackets are set, and then we will fill them out through the semifinals into the championship and pick our winners. All right, guys. I will take. I'll take Council. I will take Carrie. I will take Tri Valley. And for my number 4 team, boy, Court of Christ has certainly looked good this year. I will say, though, there's always one team that just seems to come out of nowhere. Like Garden Valley has occupied that semifinal spot the last couple of years.
And they seem to find a way to win in the postseason. Give Jason Yearsley and his team credit for that. They may just look like just another team, but then they get in as seed 3 out of the long pin, and then voila, semifinals. There they are.
I mean, it would not shock me if they beat Chalice and then they get Council here, and Council's like, oh boy. So that would be an interesting one for sure. I will say I'll take Genesee as my 7th team there, or my 4th team there. So we'll see. I took Coach Kirkland's Bulldogs, but All right. That was more difficult than it had to be. That idea sounded better in my head. We'll
I
go
wonder how
back
many
into
people clicked the button. Okay. Let's see if there's a rerun of Cheers on somewhere. I think we just killed our viewership.
Yeah. Well, let's bring it back by discussing player of the year candidates in Class 1A football. This is something we were going to do last week, but somebody was gone. So we decided we would table the discussion for another week here. Here are the 4 candidates that we have kind of identified as the clubhouse leaders for 1A player of the year. And I think how these guys do in the postseason will go a long way toward tipping the scales one way or the other. But here are the candidates, guys. Owen Hatfield from the Council Lumberjacks, Zach Perman from the Rockland Bulldogs, Stockton Sears of the Cary Panthers, and Jace Wagoner of the Tri-Valley Titans. I mean, you can see all of the season statistics up there. Will, can you give me the statistic that just is most mind-boggling to you out of all of these?
Well, the one that I go to the most is the kid that I think is probably number 4 on this list, and that's Zach Perman on a team where, there were games they didn't have a sub to go over 1,000 yards, both rushing and receiving, 34 total touchdowns. I mean, Zach Perman, I just want to tip my cap to the year that he had. But realistically, I think knowing how voters tend to vote in these things, I think it's going to be Hatfield, Sears, or Wagner. I really like the year Stockton Sears had. It was just at times, and Coach, plug your ears, you may not want to hear me say this. At times, the whole world knew that Cary was going to run the ball with Stockton Sears, and nobody could stop it. And then on top of that, he was one of the best defensive players in the state. I think that's just a tough combo to top, although, Hatfield and Wagner both had exceptional seasons as well.
Right. And Stockton Sears is, in my opinion, a little bit like Ashton Genty. You give him the ball, he gets stuffed, tackle for loss, and then pretty quick 75 yards, 80 yards, and he just is the guy that's going to get it. But you got to stop him. And Valley had a good game against him the other night and slowed him down a little bit, but he got another 65-yarder cranked out. But these 2 quarterbacks, 3 quarterbacks, actually 2 quarterbacks, Hatfield and Jace Wagner, are incredible athletes, leading their team not only by way of leadership, but through the air and on the ground. When there's a go-to guy, just like Sears and Perman, they're it. This is a loaded 4 guys that all are amazing athletes this year in the 1A classification.
Now, 2 things that, Coach, I want to come back to on the 2 quarterbacks. Number 1, Owen Hatfield played about a half of each of these games.
Right.
So what would his numbers be had he played full entire games? They'd be silly. And Jace Wagner, and I can say this from being at the game, Council did a heck of a job defensively on him, and he still ran for 200 yards. I mean, they're just both dynamic players.
Yeah, they really are, and they got great blockers on both sides of on both teams that are really helping their cause, and it's going to be a fun finish with these top 3 teams here to see who can bring it home, and maybe that team that brings it home gets the player of the year. We'll see.
And there were lots of good players that just missed the cut. And this is by no means, it could be somebody that's not on this list. We just thought kind of consensus wise, these were the top 4. But, I think about Grant Clemens from Court of Christ, or John Danke from Court of Christ, Cooper Miller from Wallace, certainly Riley Davis from Salmon Rivers put together a really phenomenal season. Hadley Hunt from Shoshones put up some big numbers. Craig Yost from North Gem, of course.
Erickson could be in that mix somewhere. Jackson Banks could be in that mix somewhere. Just a lot of really good football players.
Yeah, a lot of studs, that's for sure. Okay, Cohen Griffin wants to know, can we real quickly analyze this Salmon River and Wallace first round matchup? I guess I kind of glossed over the first round playoff matchups. This to me is the most intriguing one. Salmon River's got to make the long trip up here. This might be, can Salmon River coach control the clock and get out to a lead early? You want to keep that Wallace offense off the field as much as you can.
Yeah, you do. They're pretty got some pretty good threats with Cooper Miller and throwing that ball through the air. And that is an intriguing matchup. I have to agree with you on that one. I hadn't thought much about that, but it'll be interesting to see who takes advantage. I think it's going to come down to turnovers and who wants it the most. And both teams in their final games of the year certainly laying the wood and bringing it to get themselves geared up for a good shootout. So this will be fun.
Yeah, and I would, Coach, I'll echo your turnovers. It's fourth down percentages. Salmon River's got to get off the field when they have a chance to get off the field. They've got a good enough offense to make some drives and score some points. They've just got to minimize, that Wallace team can hit some home runs. They can hit some serious big plays. Salmon River's got to stop those. And when they have a chance to end a drive, either by making an interception or by making a fourth down stop, they got to do it.
Both of these teams have high explosive offenses, and both have been prone to giving up lots of points as well. So this could be like first one to 70 wins, maybe. Wallace Miners Athletics says, we're excited to host Salmon River. They've got some studs. Can't wait to compete and see what we're made of. And guys, I'll be broadcasting this game Friday night on IdahoSports.com. I'm headed out to Wallace to call this one. So I'm super excited. I'm bringing my Richter scale for the first time. Riley Davis runs the ball and Marley Pierce chases him down and makes contact for the tackle. That's like two studs going head to head.
Yep, that's a big collision.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, that is our 1A football discussion, guys. We'll take a break and come back and talk about everything that happened in 2A football, some surprising results, including what Raft River did to Hagerman. We'll talk about that and more right after this. You're watching the Idaho 8-Man Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
Once again, we have contributed to your ideal college savings program. Love, Grandma and Grandpa.
Ideal. Eventually, they'll appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. I love it.
College costs money.
That's right. It is the IdahoSports.com Idaho 8-Man Prepcast presented by Ideal, Idaho College Savings Program. And congratulations again to Keston Keller, fifth grade student in Valley, in Hazleton, the Valley School District. She was our winner this year, won $529 to go into a 529 account. So congratulations to Keston. Very exciting there. Okay, guys, we're talking 2A football now, and the biggest result in terms of, headline story was Raft River and Hagerman this past Friday night. The winner of this game was going to win the Sawtooth or the Snake River Conference, and it's the Trojans of Raft River, Coach, 42-20 over Hagerman. And again, I feel like me included, I haven't given Raft River enough credit this year. I mean, they are 6-2 and a conference champion.
Yeah, I'm going to give myself a little credit. However, Brandon, I did pick Raft River to be the conference champions this year early on, and it took a while for them to get there, and this big win for them to push themselves over the top to achieve that goal. But every week we've done this podcast, Raft River's stat sheet has at least 5 guys that have scored. There's just so many weapons on that team. But even more impressive is to hold the Pirates to 20 points. Maven Cap, 9 of 32 in the passing scene there, and to hold Case and Knight to just 38 yards on the night. That's kind of says the whole story about the Trojans there and their defense stepping up. But that offense has been potent all season long, spreading it around, and they got some great seasons to come.
Yeah, Will, McCoy Spencer, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions on defense as well. Trace Ward runs for a touchdown and catches a touchdown. Ruger Ward runs for 2 scores. James Dalton had a big game. Daxton Sevier got in on the action. Ren Udy led the team in receiving, 4 catches, 41 yards, didn't score, but it is death by 1,000 cuts with these Trojans.
Yeah, I mean, last year you had Kai Ward, who was just a borderline superhuman beast, and this year, instead of, one superhuman beast, it's like, 300 from the movie, just these gladiators, these Trojans, this collection that just go out there. And I'm sure some would argue that the sum is better than the whole of the parts. If I said that statement right, they just find a way, they just find a way to do it. And hats off to Coach Evans, and hats off to those kids that, they knew coming in, they had a chance to do something good. And, you just won a conference championship. That's pretty dang good.
On the Hagerman side of things here, Coach, Adam Nelson, 17 tackles, 2.5 sacks. Awesome. Case and Knight, 15 tackles on defense. But offensively, this is like twice now in the last 3 weeks or so where the passing game just hasn't been there for Hagerman. You see Wyatt Mavenkamp, 9 of 32, did throw for 156 yards and a touchdown. I know as a coach, you always loved a good running game because as we get into late October and into November, unless you're playing inside a dome somewhere, it can get tougher and tougher and tougher to rely on the passing attack. And so you've got to have a running game, right?
Yeah, that run game is a staple, I think, if you're going to be a state champion. And they certainly held Case and Knight in check with only 38 yards on the evening. And that pass completion rate, I know Mavenkamp's better than that, but only about 30% held in check with a couple interceptions. But the Trojans flying all over the field have certainly left a mark. And, this time of year as well, it gets a little colder outside. Colder in the evenings, the sun's going down, and those leather footballs, I don't know who uses a leather football, but to me, those things at night become as hard as a dang rock. And I always loved the synthetic ball, and I would shine that thing up, clean it off with a towel and some soap, and that thing is sticky as can be in the evening. But I don't know if it comes down to that or not in your ball clubs, but that's something that I took notice on is making sure the ball was as sticky as possible. Unless it's wet outside, and then go back to that old leather. But the Pirates will recover.
Are you allowed to do that before the game, Coach?
Well, that's what
Tom Brady on line 2.
Yeah, that's what Tom and Bill on my side. Yes.
That's right. Hey, here's Mike Porras in the chat, guys, on YouTube. 8-Man Prepcast. Thanks for all the updates each week. Been watching for 3 years from Northern California. Go Logos. Yes, we'll be talking about Logos here shortly in that White Pine League. Let's wrap up with the Snake River Conference, though. We did have also Murtaugh with a nice win. Turns out it's a season-ending win over Glens Ferry, 28-8. And so Murtaugh and Glens Ferry end up tied in the conference at 1-4. Murtaugh then gets the head-to-head over Glens Ferry, and yet it's the Pilots on a stronger overall record that are going to the playoffs here. But Murtaugh got stronger, kind of like Oakley. I felt like kind of got stronger as the season went along. Dallin Virgin played really well, 10 tackles and a fumble recovery. Stetson Perkins, steady quarterback play there. And Preston Stanger, 2 interceptions on defense, a receiving touchdown on offense here. This was a nice win for Murtaugh, Coach. Maybe sets the tone for the offseason.
Yeah, they've had a tough season, kind of losses that are closer than they would like throughout the year, but they've steadily improved and can continue to believe, and certainly showed here against Glens Ferry, putting up 28 points over the Pilots, and a lot to build off for next season. The Red Devils shouldn't hang their heads, and they fought hard all year long and should be proud of that, I think.
Yeah. Well, Glens Ferry, it's like the movie Space Jam. Somebody came and just took all the talent away from the and I'm not saying they're not talented. I'm just saying it's like I don't know what's happened here. They've flipped a switch or something, and I think they have that potential to get back to that team that was winning earlier this season, the team that beat Valley in overtime. But I'm not sure what's happening here. There's
a scene in Austin Powers where he says, "Crikey, I've lost my mojo." And that's what seems to have happened in Glens Ferry, because it's a good football team. I watched them with my own eyes a couple of times. Henry Thomas, one of my favorite players in the 8-man classification, just a tough little booger that goes out there and makes plays all over the field. Braden Spriggs, Brody Merrill, keep going down the list. Juan Juarez, keep going. I mean, they've got a lot of kids who can play, and for whatever reason, for the last 2 or 3 weeks, it's just been a real slog for the Pilots. And boy, it does not get any easier. Yeah, they're in the playoffs, but now you got to go to Kamei and play the Cubs this week. That's, they gotta fix it, and they got to fix it quick, or else that's a long bus ride home. Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, let's give our final farewell here to the Murtaugh Red Devils, guys. They finished the season 2-6, second year for Chad Young. They do lose a couple of high-impact seniors, McCoy Jensen and Stetson Perkins. They do have Dallin Virgin back next year. I think he'll be the focal point of the offense. And then Preston Stanger out there at wide receiver also, Coach. Murtaugh, I think, is another team that next year could have good potential. Yeah, I think so. There's a lot left over there for Coach Young. He's getting some things figured out there in Murtaugh, and ended on a high note, I believe. For sure. All right, let's talk about the other two teams from
the Snake River Conference that were in non-conference battles. Not every game was a league game here down the stretch. In fact, we had two 2A, 1A crossovers. One on IdahoSports.com. The Valley Vikings take care of the Cary Panthers 36-28 in a really fun, entertaining game. This was on IdahoSports.com. Coach Kirkland, you were in the booth on the broadcast for this one. So what were your takeaways?
Yeah, hanging out with Paul and Savan. That was a good time up there from the Crow's Nest. That's a great view from way up on top. It was senior night in Valley, and had some good festivities to begin the evening. But this Valley group, pretty tight, a group that's really focused together. You could feel their energy and you could feel their enthusiasm. And they took it to the Panthers in the first half, blanking them 20-0 to get a great start on the evening. Brant Jones is an amazing option quarterback. So deceptive. So many times throughout the evening, Paul and I were wondering who had the ball, and we weren't sure until it was either a touchdown or, I got a tackle out of bounds or something. But he runs that really well. And Thomas Vargas, one of the best in the business. So impressive with his carries, his stiff arms, his ability to maintain his balance. And this guy, in my opinion, could start on any 4A team in the state. He really has all the keys to be a great player. But what really stood out as well from Valley is their second level blocking. Goodness, no one was touching these guys until 10 yards into the play. First downs were already gained. But really a tight group working together. But second half, Panthers rally, put up 28 to Valley 16. Too little, too late, but kind of finally woke up there and got a quick hit from Sears to start the second half and a 65-1 play score to get going, and another quick one later on throughout the evening. But a good matchup between these two teams to help them get tuned up, and everyone came out healthy.
Yep. And the offensive numbers are impressive. But again, with Cary, I love looking at the tackle total. Stockton Sears, 18 tackles. Will Park with 20. We didn't have room on the graphic for this one, but I believe Jonah Saili had 26 tackles, Coach. Is that the new high for the season?
Yeah, that was Gabe Saili, his brother. That is the new high. Yeah, coming off the defensive end spot. And he got in on a ton of those things, and he was sick as a dog throughout that whole game. But a good performance on defense for him for sure.
Yeah, that's just incredible. I haven't seen a higher total this year from any other player. Here is some constructive criticism, Coach, in terms of when you broadcast. Get glasses so you can see who has the ball.
Love you. That's my son-in-law. Yeah. You know how hard it was
to make him the ex-son-in-law. Just saying.
Yeah, it can happen. And it was hard to see the Valley jerseys from where we were, white on black. So I don't know what it was, but it was pretty
on
blurry.
Blue.
Yeah, it was
like
pretty
black
blurry.
On royal blue. Yep.
And for Paul and I's eyes, it was a good thing we had Savan. He could point out a few things for us because we did miss a lot there. So the Vikings made either a touchdown or a tackle, we called it.
I always laugh. Paul got LASIK surgery a couple of years ago. He's like, oh, this is going to be a game changer. I'll be able to see the field. But then when he looks down at the rosters, he can't see anything. So he's got his glasses like this. And I'm like, oh, yeah, LASIK surgery. Yeah, it really worked well for you, Paul. So, yeah,
that was it.
That's funny. Okay, our other non-conference game from the Snake River Conference turned out to be an important one, Will, as the Oakley Hornets hastily arranged a matchup with the Garden Valley Wolverines here. One last comment here from your son-in-law, Coach. Got to get them jabs in here and there. And on that other note, that many tackles is crazy. Well done. Yeah. And Gabe Saili. Sorry, I said the wrong Saili earlier. So, okay, Will. Oakley and Garden Valley. This was an important game. I mean, this was Oakley essentially. Garden Valley was supposed to play Horseshoe Bend. They obviously folded their season. Oakley calls them up and says, hey, you want to play on Thursday night? This could help both of us in the Max Preps rankings because we're both kind of on the cut line to get in. I love this. Oakley gets a 44-40 win. Really fun back and forth game.
Yeah, and it'll be going the other way next year. Oakley's going to travel up to the Treasure Valley and play against Garden Valley. So there's a reciprocation there. But Oakley, let's first of all tip your hat to Garden Valley. You go on the road against a 2A team, and it was anybody's ball game. It came down to the final minute of the game, back and forth, real fun, real entertaining. But I also want to give a tip of the cap to Oakley. Those coaches were saying at the beginning of the year, like back in July and August, we just got to stay the course. It might not look good early, and it didn't. They had a couple of really rough games early in the year, and they said we just got to stick with it. We're young, we're inexperienced. We stick with it. Just watch. We'll be okay at the end. Win their final 3 games, qualify for the playoffs. So kudos to the Oakley coaches and the Oakley kids.
Yeah, Garden Valley surged ahead thanks to some big plays like Maxon Yearsley's 97-yard pick six, Tristan Leslie's 84-yard kick return for a touchdown, but it was a defensive play that sealed it. Bridger Conant came up with a big fumble recovery late in the contest as Oakley held on and won 44-40. So that was a really fun non-conference win. And Oakley and Garden Valley both got into the playoffs as the final at-large team. So all's well that ends well there for those 2 teams. Okay, let's move on to the High Desert Conference, another conference championship game. This was on IdahoSports.com. Butte County actually led, got the first score of the game, and Grace said, okay, that's enough of that. And Grace,
they got some of the same names as the Garden Valley kids.
Oh, no. I messed up another one. Oh, yikes.
We got a lot going on, Brandon.
I'm going to put in a call to General Manager Sven Alskog. I know a guy.
Yeah, I'm feeling the heat, guys. Grace, 57-12 over Butte County. Ignore the Butte County side of the ledger. I'll tell you what happened with Butte County. Cooper Williams ran for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns on 9 carries. Grace, meanwhile, where do you want to start? Chase Smith, a fumble recovery and an interception on defense, also ran for a touchdown. Bryant Moss had 2 receiving touchdowns. Gavin Draper did his usual thing. Cade Kimball had 2 fumble recoveries on defense as well, Will. Grace, congratulations. 8-1. Only loss is to Adrian, Oregon.
Yeah, balanced team, experienced team. They've got some size. They've got some athletes. They're positioned to make some noise in the next few weeks.
Yep. So congratulations to the Grace Grizzlies. And then, Coach, that means it's time for our final farewell for the Butte County Pirates. This was a trying season for Coach Sam Thorngren. It kind of all started really before the season even began when Keaton Archibald, senior quarterback and defensive back, team captain, heartbeat of the team, suffered a season-ending injury while out camping. And so, that it was just unfortunately kind of set them on a wayward path here. They never could quite dig out of it. And so 1-8 for Butte County, but I think overall probably just a blip on the radar.
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot of great kids left over there. They got a great junior high program that'll continue to feed what is left at Butte County. I feel for Sam, and he's done a lot over there. That's a long time to be coaching, 20 seasons. He knows what to do. He knows how to fix it, and there's a lot of pride in the Butte County Pirates there. But they'll be back, and they're always fighters. And I want Nate not to hang their heads. There's a lot to learn from that, and those kids will fight hard next season.
Yep, no doubt about it. All right, let's move to the White Pine League, guys. Kendrick puts the finishing touches on an undefeated season, 78-8 over Prairie. Maddox Kirkland, a perfect 5 of 5, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns. What was more impressive, Will, the 5 for 5 from Maddox Kirkland or Tanner Clemenhagen, 4 carries, 4 touchdowns, and 112 yards?
Boy, they're the running backs there at Kendrick, Clemenhagen and Orion Stewart. They've done the bulk of the work back there. Not all of it, but the bulk of it. They've fairly quietly, if running backs from a 9-0 team can be quiet, they've fairly quietly had a pretty phenomenal year between the two of them. They've just been incredibly efficient.
Yeah, it's been incredible. And then, Coach, anytime the Kendrick defense can intercept Cade Quintal 5 times, that is just going to give that offense even more opportunities.
That's 5 more possessions and likely 5 more touchdowns headed to the Kendrick way. That's a lot of good defense. I would be interested to know how many interceptions Kendrick does have on the year, because I think we've seen stats of 3 and 4 interceptions frequently in the last, 9 games.
Yes. Very interesting for sure. In this game, Jerry Anderson had 2, and then Colt Kep had 1, and then Orion Stewart and Nathan Twite each had 1 that they took back for touchdowns. So defense leading to offense there for Kendrick. And for Prairie, still in the playoffs. They'll get ready for a home playoff game this Friday. Kamiai and Lapwai got together, 64-0 win for the Cubs. They finish in second place in the White Pine standing, 7-1 overall. Lawson Landmark, 6 touchdowns, a 6-pack, 5 through the air, 1 on the ground. Everett Oatman caught 3 of the 5 scores. Gavin Shaning caught a touchdown as well. And Will Kamiai, again, very quietly, 7-1. They beat Logos. They beat Council. The only blemish was against Kendrick.
Yeah, and there are going to be a lot of teams that could say that the only loss was against Kendrick. That Kendrick team they're just on another level right now. But Kamiai is a good group, and all they've done, and this goes back to something you hear a lot, the yeah, but. Well, what was Kamiai supposed to do? They did what they were supposed to do in this game. They went out, and Lapwai, they've got some athletes. I mean, any given year, they've got some athletes, and 2 of the names are right there on the screen. Jerice McCormick and Rayshawn Henry. Those are both good athletes. If you take them for granted, you might look up in the third quarter and it's 32-28. Kamiai didn't do that.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Will, let's give our final farewell here to the Lapwai Wildcats. I thought they'd run into a win somewhere along the way, but the White Pine is just such a tough, rigorous league. Lapwai finishes 0-9. The nice thing is that McCormick and Henry and a lot of other dudes are back next year for Coach Josh Layton Jr.
Yeah, they don't lose a whole lot from this group. So if they can keep it together and keep building forward, and we've talked about it with a number of other leagues, the 1A or the 2A White Pine's going to look different next year. So why not Lapwai?
Why not? Okay, that was another guy that played basketball for them.
It was. He's up at Washington State now. Go Cougs.
Yeah, Case Why Not, the all-time leading scorer in boys basketball history in Idaho. Okay, another team that can put up the points. Logos, they shut out Potlatch 40-0. Baxter Covington, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. And Ole Sundley, 7 carries for 125 yards and a touchdown as well. And Logos appears to have gotten things calibrated, Coach, just in time for the playoffs here.
Yeah, this has been a team that's loaded with a lot of different talents from the line to their skill players, and it's a good tune-up for them going into the playoffs for sure. Good coaches and great staff, and having a lot of fun there. Their last year in 8-man football, right?
That's right.
Yeah, hoping to finish on a big note. 2
playoff appearances in school history, both times the trip ended in the semifinals to the eventual champion. 2 years ago, they had to go all the way to Butte County. And then last year, they got to host Kendrick in Lewiston. And both times it's ended in the semifinals. Can they take that next step and get to the championship? We'll find out over the next couple of weeks. And then this was kind of a fun one, Will. Troy and Clearwater Valley. Congratulations to the Trojans. A 46-38 victory for the Rams. I mean, look at that. Clearwater Valley threw for 366 yards. I think they outgained. I think Clearwater Valley had over 500 yards of offense, and Troy had 400 yards of offense, but Troy was able to squeeze out one more score.
Yeah, I say this jokingly, but Clearwater Valley got 366 yards passing from about their 14th string quarterback. You want to talk about a team that is beat up? That is the team. But Troy, I want you to make sure you look at Peyton Christensen's name there. 319 yards and 3 TDs again. He wound up, when it's all said and done, and I don't have final stats in front of me, he wound up having an entirely decent season.
Yeah, I completely agree. For Troy, a team that now, 3-6, they played the independent schedule this year, which meant they were not eligible for the postseason. And now they're moving down to 1A football next year. They petitioned down. They're still a 2A school, but they're going to play 1A football. It's going to be really interesting to see how Troy kind of fits into the hierarchy of that 1A White Pine League. So let's give our final farewell here to the Troy Trojans. Sean Buchanan just wrapped up his 4th season, and all underclassmen here: Peyton Christensen, Hinder Hurst, Jaden Mason, and then Lincoln Marone. Really good sophomore tight end, defensive end here for the Trojans, Coach Kirkland.
Yeah, a good season for those guys, and a good note to finish on. and nothing to hang their heads on. And it'll be interesting, like you say, to see what happens when they come down to the 1A league, and they'll probably compete a little bit better. And as they pick up some of those games in the 1A bracket, and way to go, Trojans! Keep it up.
Will, is it just me? Whenever I look at the Troy logo here and I see the face, it kind of looks like a potato to me. Is that just me?
Looks a little bit like a potato, but it also looks like his head is kind of sideways in the helmet.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. These are the things I think about when I'm sleep deprived and working
Might
too much.
explain some of the typos on the graphics tonight. Hey, I'm just saying.
Got blindsided.
Yeah, no doubt. Here's another team that was blindsided by injuries this year, Clearwater Valley. The Rams finish a 1-7 campaign. Alan Hutchins, one of the great men around, good coach. They're going to lose some high-impact players here. Timoni Moses is going to be a big loss, but they do bring back Liam Wall and his younger brother, Kale Wall. They both quarterbacked the team at different points this year. And Peter Fabi, the third and final Fabi boy, coming through as well for his senior season next year.
I'm not convinced he's the last Fabi. I think they're just hiding some of them. I think that Coach Hutchins said he actually had 4 freshmen start in that game against Troy, and it sucks in the moment. It really, really sucks in the moment because some of those kids, through no fault of their own, it's just too big and too fast for them at that point. However, let's flash forward a year and see where this group is, because they got some very real experience and very real reps. And the mind of football players, Coach, they keep receipts on stuff like this. And every one of those kids is going to remember, 1-7, we got some payback to get when you hear over these next couple years.
For sure.
Yeah, they sure do. And Coach Hutchins is the guy that will motivate them and pick up next season with those guys and remind them that we're going to do better this year.
I believe the oldest Fabi boy, Peter's the youngest. I believe the oldest Christian, I think he lives in Italy. I was told a couple of times when I did some Clearwater Valley broadcasts, our oldest boy is tuning in from Italy. And so that's always fun too.
Nice.
So, all right, let's wrap up, guys, with the Western Idaho Conference over in District 3. There was only one game this past week. It was Wilder. It was Notice. And it was Notice with a nice 77-48 victory. So the Pirates cruising into the playoffs in style. Derek Uter threw for 202 yards and 5 touchdowns. Mark Longu did his thing, 109 yards and a score. And Ramiro Contreras had a really nice game here too, 94 yards and a touchdown on the ground.
Yeah, it's nice for Coach Shepard and his team to get some balance out of there. It had kind of been the Uter and Lungu show for the last few weeks, and you get Contreras. And really a lot of kids got an opportunity to do something in this game. Notice got out to an early lead and was able to rotate some bodies through. But I think it's important for the coaching staff and also for the whole team to see, hey, when this kid steps in, and I'm not just talking about Ramiro Contreras, any of those younger kids, hey, when they come in, they can help us. I think that was important for Notice, and they got it.
How about this, Coach? 5 touchdown passes from Uter to 5 different receivers: Maverick McCarrow, DeHaven Wilson, Wiley Kurt, Spencer Hansen, and Weiss Iverson. Which guy do you stop?
Yeah, any one of those. we'll count for just one, but you can appreciate a good head coach spreading that around at the end of the season here to all those guys. Coach Shepard making sure these guys get some love going into the postseason, and that's a lot of fun to score that many points and for everybody to have a shot at a little bit of glory to finish the regular season.
For sure.
Notice playing well. They kind of had to set the tone early with the new coaching staff, but they've played really well down the stretch.
Yeah. Gelasio Martinez and Ezra Johnson both play really well in their last game of the year for the Wilder Wildcats, which means it is time for our final farewell to the Wilder Wildcats. Will, this is a team that I know you saw. Was it right at the start of the season? Right out of the gates?
Week 2, I believe. Week 2 or week 3. So, yeah, early.
Okay. And it's a team that I think is continuing to build. Coach Josh Duty in his just wrapped up his second season. This is a Wilder team that I think is going to continue to get better and better. And the fact that they were able to play and compete in a full season of games, I think is a big win in and of itself.
Yeah, Ezra Johnson, one of just 2 seniors. The other senior, Connor Smallwood, maybe their best player, basically didn't play this year. Got hurt very early in the season. But Alacio Martinez had a really nice year. Omari Barbosa did some nice things, and a lot of those kids are going to be back. And I got, we talk about, game recognizing game, if you will. One of the things that Coach Shepard from Notice said after the game is, hey, I got to tip my hat to those kids on the other sideline. And for Notice to tip their cap to Wilder, that's saying something. Those two schools, those two teams, those two towns, they got a little bit of a rivalry going. But he said, hey, they showed up prepared, they competed, they worked hard, and they played through the final whistle, and that's a testament to Coach Duty and his staff keeping the kids focused, and it's a testament to the kids to keep showing up and keep competing instead of just, saying, screw it, when does basketball start?
Right. So this is the first of several final farewells from the Western Idaho Conference, as Notice is the only team that made the playoffs. How about Idaho City? They finished 6-2, Coach Kirkland. Not good enough to get in. Jason Rober did a fine job with these guys. And, look, all underclassmen on the 3-star players list here. Mitchell Davis and Gabe Sherabon, both juniors. Mac Rober and Cooper Smith, both sophomores. Cooper Smith in particular, really electrifying running back.
Right. A great season for the Wildcats, and trending underclassmen all over the place on this team, and a lot of teams that Coach Rubber kickstarting these guys, and kind of got beat by a Notice team that was gaining towards the end of the season to fall out of the playoff bracket here. But they'll be back with those youngsters, and it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, real shame. And then here's a team, Coach, that you had them locked in week 1. You picked them in the upset special, and that set the tone for your season-long victory in the Pick'em contest we all did. Centennial Baptist. You're going to have to get out there for a Centennial Baptist game next year. They go 2-5, both wins over Wilder. Here's the problem, though. The 3 guys that are listed there, all seniors: Gavin Cobb, Uriah Cobb, and Caleb West.
Yeah, always pick the horse, right? The beautiful horse in the Mustangs. But they'll miss those 3 seniors, but a good season nonetheless to get 7 games in. And hopefully they can rally a bunch more kids and get after it again next year.
Couple good young offensive linemen. I was able to see them play one time. Couple of good young offensive linemen, freshmen, out there competing against players like Rocco Olvera from Idaho City, who's a heck of a player, as we know. They're going to have their hands full replacing those skill kids. The 2 Cobbs were, key pieces to what they did getting this Centennial Baptist program off the ground. And let's see where they go from here, because I think if you have a good line, you can fill in around it. And it's a lot easier, in my opinion, to build that way than to say, hey, I've got a great quarterback and a great running back, but absolutely no one who can block for him.
Yep, agreed. And then, well, let's wrap up with the Rimrock Raiders. They finished 2-6 with some forfeits in there along the way. They went from having a nice win at home for homecoming to canceling the season the next week because they ran out of bodies. And so Carlos Herrera put up some insane stat lines this year. He pretty much did it all. Junior QB, DB doesn't do justice. He did it all. He punted. He was the return guy. So I just was really surprised that Rimrock didn't have enough guys to finish off the campaign.
Yeah, it's a smaller school. They petition up to play in the 2A. They could probably play 1A and be fine numerically if their enrollment numbers, if I remember those correctly. But they petition up and they want to play up. And numbers have always been a little bit of a challenge. But boy, when they've got kids, when they've got numbers, they are competitive. And Coach Ward, been there for 5 years. I guarantee you he's been working the halls and talking, to kids in the middle school and, all those things, saying, hey, let's boost these numbers a little bit. Let's not get to the point where, 1 or 2 kids not being able to go doesn't completely derail our season.
Right. So we hope Rimrock can bounce back again next season for sure. All right, guys, let's take a look at the 2A playoff bracket, and I will re-put the 1A bracket up. I didn't really do it justice earlier. I kind of botched that segment. So, again, this is the 1A bracket. Garden Valley's at Chalice on Friday night. Hanson at Tri-Valley Saturday afternoon. Timberline and Genesee, the all-North Idaho matchup Friday night. And then Salmon River at Wallace. I think we're all in a...
Are you going to make me pick which team has the highest yards per carry, and then you say, oh, no, never mind? So neither of you have to do it?
Go for it.
I will ask you, Will, What game are you most excited for?
Which game am I most excited for, or which game am I going to be at?
Which one are you most excited for?
I would really like to see that Chalice Garden Valley game. I think that has a chance to be an absolute Donnybrook.
Okay. Coach, what about you?
Yeah, I would pick the Tri-Valley Hanson game. I would be interested to see how Hanson fares in their first playoff game in a really since 2020, and if they can handle that big stage with a Tri-Valley team that's pretty hungry and thriving right now. So that's what I'm intrigued with.
Bless you, Will. The game I'm looking forward to is that Salmon River Wallace game. I think the 9 and the 8. I mean, two very evenly matched teams. It's going to be a lot of fun. Really quickly, how about an upset special? Not saying it's going to happen, but if there was an upset that was going to happen in the first round, Will, it would be?
I got to think that Hanson over Tri-Valley would be a pretty big upset, but I think they both play similar enough styles in terms of kind of a grounded out. They're not going to go 4 wide and throw it all over the place. They're going to lean on their lines. They're going to try and move the ball down the field with their running games. I think that gives Hanson a shot to go in there and pick up a win. And I think Coach made a very salient point. When you've never played in the postseason, it's just a little different. And these Tri-Valley kids, they're experienced. They've been there and they've done that. I think if Hanson can get to halftime and say it's 20-20 or something like that, it's anybody's ball game. But they've got to show up early. They've got to survive that first punch. And I would think that if they win the toss, I would think that they would take the ball and say, okay, let's see if we can kind of slow the game down right now. I think Hanson has a chance, but like I say, they've got to take care of the ball, and they've got to somehow try and keep Jace Wagner in front of them.
Easier said than done.
Right.
Coach, upset special?
Yeah, I think an upset would be Chalice beating Garden Valley. I think Garden Valley has an upper hand in that, being in the playoffs for quite a little while, and just a few more dudes to make things happen. And coming off a loss, they're going to be starving. And so I think that'd be a huge upset right there.
Okay, see, I was going to say Garden Valley as the 12 seed over Chalice, the 5 seed, but I'm with you. I think body of work. I think Garden Valley, to me, is maybe the more complete team. Chalice is really young.
Yeah,
a lot of freshmen for sure. Okay, I guess for my upset, you can't really take Salmon River and Wallace. I guess I'll take Timberline over Genesee. Genesee won the matchup in the regular season 54-32, but Timberline has proven. Timberline lost to Deary by 1 score, and Deary turned around and handled Genesee. These White Pine games get weird sometimes. They get funky, so Genesee coming off a drubbing by Deary. I don't know. Timberline could go in there and catch him for sure. It wouldn't totally shock me if the Spartans went and did that. But they've got to really be efficient with their possessions, because Genesee is going to try and control the clock. That's what they want to do. They want to control the clock, limit the possessions. Timberline can get out to an early lead. I don't know. Spartans could be headed for the upset. So, all right, here's the 2A bracket. We'll kind of do the same thing here. Glens Ferry and Kamei Friday afternoon. Oakley at Logos Friday night. Valley at Prairie Friday afternoon, and then Potlatch and Hagerman on Friday evening as well. And oh, by the way, this 1A bracket, we will be broadcasting on IdahoSports.com. Hanson at Tri-Valley and Salmon River at Wallace. In this 2A bracket, guys, we are broadcasting 3 of the 4 matchups. How about that? Oakley at Logos, Valley at Prairie, and Potlatch at Hagerman. We will be broadcasting all 3 of those games Friday on IdahoSports.com. Will, what's the game you're most excited for?
The game that I think is going to be the most interesting is going to be that Prairie Valley game, because they're both extraordinarily well coached and they know each other. There are no secrets. They played each other last month. No secrets. They have firsthand eyes on each other. They're not counting on watching videotape. So which staff and which players adjust better, because it was a pretty good football game the first time they played.
Yeah, Prairie won by 8 over Valley. Really fun back and forth game. Coach, which game are you most excited for?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Will. That's going to be another great matchup between those two teams. And to see who has improved the most, I think is what's going to show the storyline there. And maybe with Brant Jones having a season underneath in there, leading the Vikings at quarterback position, and Vargas healthy. And I don't know, that the team unity and kind of the feeling I felt with those Vikings, they've improved a lot this season, and I think ready to hand it to the Pirates this week. But Hasselstrom is an amazing coach, and he gets his kids ready, especially during the playoffs. So it's going to come down to possessions on this one.
And yet Prairie's last win in the playoffs came all the way back in 2020. So it's been a bit of a drought for Prairie in the postseason. They did miss out on the playoffs a couple of years there as well. Here's Mike Porras in the chat again. Thanks for streaming Logos versus Oakley. Awesome to be able to watch from Cali. That's where I'm going, guys. I think this Oakley-Logos team, Oakley is just a completely different team right now. They're playing with a confidence and a little bit of that Oakley swagger that we're used to seeing. And I don't think they're going to be intimidated by coming up to Logos and playing there. These two teams, I'm trying to remember, did they play earlier this year? I know Oakley played Kendrick, and they played some other really tough teams out of conference. But
no, Butte County played Logos. I know that.
That's who I was thinking of. Okay, Butte County. So I think Oakley's going to walk into this and be totally fine. They're not going to be afraid of anything. So that, to me, is going to be a really fun game. And I guess that would be my upset special if I'm looking at a team that's going to go somewhere and give me the Oakley Hornets. I believe in Coach Brandon Jones. I'm not saying it'll happen, but I'm saying if Oakley did, it wouldn't totally shock me. Will, what's your upset special?
I'm going to go down to the bottom of the bracket, and I'm going to say Potlatch over Hagerman. It's possible. I think that, again, Potlatch is an extraordinarily well-coached football team. They have not been healthy all year. They've been missing their number one running back since like June. Out with an injury. Hunter Redmond, he will not play, obviously, but they're very well coached. And Hagerman, as we've seen the last couple weeks, they ride a little bit of a roller coaster. And it's an exceptionally talented team and an exceptionally potent team that can go on lulls. So if Potlatch can use that defensive line and control the line of scrimmage a little bit and make it tough for Maven Camp to see his receivers downfield, who knows? You don't know.
Coach?
Yeah, I'm going to be on that game with Savan calling that Hagerman Potlatch, and that should be interesting to see if Maven Camp can get a little more protection this week and to sling that ball around. But my upset would be Glens Ferry over Kamei. Kamei's playing really well right now, and Glens Ferry kind of seems to be in a little bit of a slump from time to time. But that would be a major upset, I think, in my book.
That is a rematch from last year's opening round of the playoffs. Glens Ferry had to go up to Kamei. They're like, man, we got to do this again. I guess we know all the good spots.
I remember it being a real muddy game up there.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, Coach Kirkland, you're going to be broadcasting the Potlatch Hagerman game Friday night. How about this twist? Week after facing this team as a coach, Ty Kep is going to return to the broadcast booth for IdahoSports.com to do that Valley Prairie game for us on Friday afternoon. I called him up and said, hey, I know you're on a bye this week. You want to pick up some playoff games? And he said, absolutely. We're having morning practice, so I'll be in Cottonwood for the 1 o'clock kickoff.
Nice. That would be cool for him.
Yep, for sure. So we're excited about that for sure. All right, one last order of business before we wrap up the show, guys, and that is to talk about the 2A Player of the Year race. And again, this one, to me, I don't think will be decided until a state champion is crowned. That is how even this field is, and all four teams are teams that could go to the Final Four or perhaps even further. Here are the four we've kind of identified as the leaders: Gavin Draper from Grace, Maddox Kirkland from Kendrick, Wyatt Mavenkamp from Hagerman, and then Thomas Vargas from the Valley Vikings. Will, to this point, what has been the most impressive statistical performance that you've seen?
I really like the year that Gavin Draper's had from Grace because he does it on both sides of the ball. He's the quarterback on offense, and he's, plays that safety position, so he's the quarterback on defense as well, and he's a good athlete. And no disrespect meant to any of those other three candidates. They're fabulous players, and I'll even go so far as to say I'm not entirely convinced that the winner is on your screen right now. I think there are some other players who can absolutely play their way to the top of this leaderboard, if you will. But Gavin Draper, to me right now, I think has had the most complete season of the four that are up there.
Coach, what do you think of this quartet of players?
Yeah, I agree with Will and Gavin Draper kind of being the all-around holistic kind of guy that's led his team throughout this season to a lot of victories. The stat that doesn't show, and I'll talk about Vargas here, is he missed a couple of games due to some ankle injuries, I believe. And so it's not really showing what he's really capable of. And right now he is on fire and unstoppable. And so I would go with Thomas Vargas on this pick here, even missing just 2 games. No stats not on the board.
And yet he still rushed for over 1,200 yards, which is incredible. And then, I'm going to go to Maddox Kirkland from Kendrick. He's just quarterbacked this offense. Guys, he's thrown for 2,166 yards on just 120 attempts. I mean, think about that. He's not even playing like into the second quarter for most of these games. I mean, if you do the math on that, 2166 divided by 120, that's 18 yards per attempt, not even per completion. If you go per completion, I mean, you're talking about 84. You're talking about 25 yards per completion. I mean, that's just insanity, Will.
Yeah, he's been fantastic this year, and you give a lot of credit, to his offensive line, because he's had, I've watched a few of those games. He could, take a folding chair back there, call dominoes, eat some dinner, and then get up and still hit, Silflo or Twite or one of those receivers, Kimberling, for, a 50-yard touchdown. That line has done a tremendous job blocking for him. His receivers have done a tremendous job making the plays down the field, and he throws a really good ball.
Yeah. This race feels a little more unsettled than the other ones, like the 1A that we were talking about. So any of these guys, or Will, you mentioned it, maybe somebody that wasn't even on the screen, could be like Case and Knight from Hagerman, or one of the Kendrick guys, Twite or Silflo.
I could see Twite being in the conversation. I could see Baxter Covington being in the conversation. I could see Peter Story from Logos, the lineman. I could see him getting some votes because, man, I mean, Coach, the game that we watched against Hagerman, I mean, he was like a one-man wrecking crew. He was blowing up every single play.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. So, and maybe Mark Lungu catches fire for Notice or something.
Maybe.
Notice goes on a big run. He's been a fun player to watch this year too. So, All right, guys, we went extremely long. It won't be as long next week. We won't have as many final farewells to get through and less games to talk about overall. And so, Coach, I appreciate you sticking it out with us tonight on a longer show than usual.
Oh, it's awesome. It's playoff season, man, and it's going to be an exciting weekend for sure.
Yep. Now, Will, we already know where Coach and I are going to be this weekend. Coach is going to be in Hagerman Friday night. I'm going to be in Wallace. Where are you going to be at?
I'm going to go to the Hanson Tri-Valley game. Friday night, I got to be dad. You know, it's Halloween, and I've got to chaperone some kids that are going to do some trick-or-treating. But Saturday, you know, I was so excited to see a Saturday game on the schedule. I love going to Cambridge. It's a beautiful area. Coach Wagner and his crew put on just a heck of a show, and I've never seen Hanson in person. I'm really excited to see Hanson in person. So really, really excited about that.
Yeah, you got to see Shoshone and North Gem last year in the playoffs, right? Or where did we see
it was Tri-Valley, North Gem.
Yeah.
It was the first time I'd seen North Gem with my own eyes. But, you know, I've gotten to see a lot of teams from different parts of the state when they've come down here or have driven down to the Magic Valley a few times. Or this year we even drove up to Nez Perce to watch Lewis County and Genesee. So when I can cross a team off that I've never gotten to watch with my own eyes, and I've never gotten to go up and say hi to a head coach or anything like that, I really, really enjoy that.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to it, and we'll let Wendy Clemenhagen have the last word here, guys. Good luck to all teams, definitely.
There you go.
Enjoy the games this weekend. We'll be back with another quarterfinal edition of the Idaho 8-Man Prepcast next Wednesday night. Until then, for Coach Lane Kirkland and Will Henneke, I'm Brandon Baney. Thanks for tuning in to the Idaho 8-Man Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.